Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm, having the successful accounting, bookkeeping, and tax business. I am Roger Knecht, President of Universal Accounting Center, and I'll be hosting you today because in this podcast, we're helping accounting professionals confidently and competently offer quality accounting services to get paid what they are worth. We encourage you to listen to this and other episodes that we have, and especially to subscribe to this podcast. Today, we're discussing the principle of M.A.P. I'm sure if you've listened to many of my conversations, speaking engagements, or perhaps read some of our materials, you've run across the principle of M.A.P, or mapping the business as it's oftentimes referred. Today, we're going to be discussing this in detail and giving you some insights that actually apply to your business and perhaps could even help you with your clients. One of the things that I'd like to share with you today is a few things regarding myself. I've been working with the Universal Accounting Center now for more than 20 years, and as an accounting professional, have helped a number of individuals, thousands of people start and build successful accounting businesses around the United States, Canada, and as well around the world. In this effort, I've actually gotten to know a number of amazing individuals, gotten to learn of their businesses both personally and professionally, and I've really enjoyed the interactions that I've had with them. And it's through this that I've taken the opportunity to now create this podcast to share with you some of these lessons learned and best practices. Universal Accounting Center, we've actually been around since 1979. I'm the third president of the company, helping individuals get the training, certifications, the coaching and support that they need to excel in their careers, whether it be for skill enhancement, finding the jobs that they've always wanted as accounting professionals, or more importantly, starting and building successful accounting firms. Just as we say here, building the successful accounting business so that you can in fact be the premier accounting firm in your area. Now, with that in mind, what I'd like to do is actually just get into this conversation and really encourage you to start by having a pen or paper handy, because I'm sure there's some notes that you're going to be wanting to take along the way. The first thing I would like to do is just kind of introduce the principle of M.A.P and how it came about, and in reality, how it's applied to me personally. So first of all, M.A.P, it's essentially an acronym. The acronym stands for Marketing, Accounting, and Production. Now, these three things on their own seem somewhat obvious, but as we get into the mapping philosophy, you're going to start to see that they really integrate well and all lead towards the accumulation of profit. Now, with regards to marketing, accounting, production, I can definitely tell you that early on, as we were in the process here at Universal Accounting Center, is to try and define how we were successful in attaining a number of our accolades. We had actually received over a number of years the Inc. 500 award, Inc. 5000 award that was awarded to us over a number of years, the Utah 100 award, which was also received over multiple years. Each of these were basically awards given to private companies in essence to celebrate the successful growth that we were experiencing during those years. And to be considered one of the top 500 businesses growing in the United States was a significant accomplishment. It was something that we were excited to be a part of and went back east to receive the award. The subsequent years, we received the Inc. 5000 awards, and each year we were just amazed at where we fell into that ranking, noticing how we were performing. When we were in the 500 ranking, we were number 313. Imagine that. Of all the companies in the United States, we were the 313th fastest growing business. In the state of Utah, where our corporate headquarters are, we actually went ahead, we went ahead and applied for this particular award to be recognized for a similar growth. And in that received over a number of years the Utah 100 award. And it was interesting to see where we fell each year in those rankings. And it was basically one of those things where we would take all of the team members here at the office, we would go up and have a gala dinner celebrating our success, sitting there basically wondering where in that program we would be called up to actually receive the award, trying to figure out and guess what number we would receive. Well, these were all wonderful achievements and something that was accomplished because of the great work of everyone here in the company. But in doing that, we wanted to reflect back after all these successes and really ask ourselves what made it possible. And in this endeavor, we really wanted to reflect on what were some of our management styles, what were some of our operating procedures that really gave us the ability to grow the business, to manage the business, and really excel as we did. In this process, M.A.P became really quite the key element for all of this success. M.A.P became this acronym of marketing, accounting, and production. And initially, it wasn't really clear. It was our human resource director at the time, Miriam, who actually identified, hey, if we change the order sequence of these, it's marketing, accounting, production, it creates this acronym of M.A.P. And I remember the epiphany of when that occurred of, oh my heavens, that just makes so much sense. It was almost a sequential look at this because marketing obviously preceded the services that we were offering, and production obviously followed as we were fulfilling what we were doing. So with that acronym in mind and having some context behind it, I'd like to kind of share with you a little bit of what it stands for and represents and how it really applied to the successes we were experiencing. First of all, with marketing, it really is both marketing and sales. So marketing and sales, representing that letter M, really meant what was going on in the business to bring in the top line revenue. What's everything happening within the business that's an organized, cohesive effort to really grow the business. When you look at accounting, accounting's not what it appears. Accounting is more than just the financial reports and having sound books and looking at your numbers. It's really getting beyond that and getting into key performance indicators, KPIs, for example, or it was also getting into very specific metrics, what we referred to as key metrics, that really allowed us to track numerically what was going on within the business and the organization. It was quantifiable things that we could track on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and really see how are we performing day over day, week over week, month over month. What were the standards that we had in place for our production that we could hold people accountable for? It was the cash flow management. It was really managing the payables, the receivables. It was everything that you can think of that's money or number oriented that we were actually trying to track in there. And there were so many numbers, we really had to become very, very clear as to what we wanted to follow. And so we identified these key performance indicators and so forth. So really, when you look at M.A.P, the idea of who can be in charge of those numbers, what numbers are we watching, how often do we review those numbers, that's really the essence of all of that. And it became a key element of what we identified as being part of our success model. And then the last being production. Production, I think, is perhaps sometimes not as clear as it ought to be. Production is basically once you've taken the money, once you've obviously gotten the engagement or gotten the sell that you were hoping for, now the rubber meets the road, if I could use that analogy, because now you've got to deliver, you've got to produce, you've got to fulfill. And so it's what's the processes that you have in place to onboard the customer, to take care of the customer, to have them have an experience that perhaps is better than you offered, in the sense of here's your chance to over deliver and shine. And so with regards to production, what we wanted to do is really figure out what's working well and what can we do better. So with this acronym of M.A.P, I think it becomes very clear that as we were having the successes that we were able to really identify in this M.A.P acronym what it is that was really making us uniquely different from what we felt was perhaps our competition or just our expectations internally of what it was we were doing. Now, why M.A.P is important is because we sat down after all of these experiences, and I remember distinctly having this conversation of, we got this far, we've done so well, why? And we wanted to really kind of pull ourselves outside of the business and ask ourselves, what caused us to have the successes? What allowed us to experience that growth? What could we attribute it to? And when we identified this acronym of M.A.P, it was very much an internal thing, something that we wanted to just make sure we were continuing to use. And now that we could identify what we felt led us to the success we were experiencing, we wanted to hold to it. We didn't want to let go of it. We wanted to make sure that we kept applying these principles in our business and used what we knew to be that recipe for success. But I remember this opportunity where I was at a conference, and at this conference, saw an opportunity to take this outside of universal accounting and realized that now was the time to share. It's kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When you get to that top, the pinnacle, and it's self-awareness, self-actualization, and you're now in a position to give back. You've experienced and journeyed something to the point that it's come time to now share it with others. that's the epiphany that I had. And let me just kind of share with you how it went. I was in attendance at a conference. I was sitting in the audience, and in the audience, I happened to be listening to someone on stage who was speaking of a number of business principles. And as they were speaking, I really resonated with what they were saying. It made sense. I could relate in the sense that that's what we had gone through, that's what we had experienced. But more importantly, I felt as they were speaking, this is something I could obviously address. It's something that I could really give some content to and context for. And so I really went ahead and started to really pay attention as to, is this something I could be sharing as well? And the epiphany that really came is not only could we share that same story, but I think we could even do it better. And that was kind of a moving moment for me, because it set me on this mission of how do we take this now to the accounting community so that you can not only apply these principles in your own company, but more importantly, once you became comfortable with them and saw the proof of them, you could then take them to your clients and help those business owners that you're interacting with on a regular basis to really help them see how these principles could affect them. And as your clients see that you're helping them, as your clients are growing, obviously it's going to improve your relationships, your client retention. And as their growth occurs, I'm assuming that it will incur greater revenue for you as you service larger and larger clients as they grow. So this was just kind of a win for everybody. So with that in mind, let me just kind of address how MAP is really kind of applied. How do you really get into the meat of all of this? The first thing is to understand that in business, as entrepreneurs, we're basically wearing a lot of hats. And I always have this visual in my mind of multiple hats on my head. And there's actually an image that I use a lot of times in my presentations where it's a gentleman with hats that are just stacked on the head, multiple hats, different kinds of hats, all the way up. And it's literally like a 3-foot high stack of hats on this person's head. And I feel that that's really what a business owner oftentimes feels like. Having all those hats on my own head, I realized, there's a great deal of weight there. I felt the pressure, the stress or strain of that weighing on me. The different hats, it was, all of this stuff needs to be done, but how do I organize it? How do I prioritize it? How do I get on top of this? And where do I start? So really, MAP actually allowed me to take those proverbial hats off of my head and put them out in front of me and organize them. And by organizing them, I start to feel as if the weight obviously was now gone. They're off my head. And as I'm organizing them, I started to realize that it became more and more clear as I organized them into this context of MAP to then understand, okay, where do I start? What do I do now? So to help you go through this process, I have some questions that I feel that are very appropriate for you as you run and operate your accounting business. The first question that we want to go through here is basically what it is that you're going to be doing in your own business to really apply these principles so that you can effectively map your own company. So the first question is, are you in a position where you're needing to grow and find more clients? Do you need more clients? This is meant to say, is this the first area that we need to focus on? As we're looking at all these hats on the table, which one am I going to pick up and put on? Where am I going to start? Well, as I'm looking at the hats, I want to organize all of the marketing and sales hats. And I want to ask, is there energy here that I need to be putting to get more clients? Now, the second question is, I'm organizing all the hats as to the services that we offer, and this is related to accounting. The bookkeeping services, the payroll services, the tax services, the consultative services. The list goes on as to what it is that you may describe your service as providing. But what you want to do here is, as you're going through this process, is identify, if I didn't get any new clients, but am I busy enough with the ones I have? Should I be increasing the amount of services that I'm currently providing and just basically work towards increasing the revenues I'm earning from the clients that I have? Meaning, I maybe don't need any new clients. I just need to offer more services so that there's a greater perceived value so that they're willing to pay me more. And therefore, I'm more engaged with the clients that I have, offering more services. And at the end of the year, I've earned more revenue per client. So that's that area of accounting. And then the third is production. It's basically, am I working too much? Am I too busy? So I don't need more clients and I don't necessarily want to offer more services. And I like what I'm earning per client. I'm just way too busy. I'm working too many hours. I haven't taken a vacation. I've worked on weeknights. I'm working weekends. I'm overwhelmed. Well, the production side is essentially saying, of all these hats, what can I do to find ways to be more efficient and productive so that I could be better at the workflow, the onboarding process, the client interaction. That's really the production side. So I'm going to go through each of these with you and help you really see how these can apply in your own business. But what I want to do is, first of all, help you identify which of the three is your priority. Because oftentimes when I'm working with accounting firms and I'm talking to the owner, they want to say all three matter, all three are important, all three are where I need to be focused, all three are what I want to do. And in all honesty, what they've done is they've not taken the hats off their head. They realize that these areas of the table exist, but all the hats aren't on the table. They're still on their head. They're still feeling the weight and the anxiety of running the business. And what we need to do is we need to calm down, take a moment and reflect and say, okay, really, what is the priority here? And take these hats, again, proverbially off the head and put them down on the table. And so it's asking these questions and going through this process of identifying really what is the next area of opportunity for your firm? What perhaps is the biggest fear, challenge, or obstacle that you need to face? Is it getting more clients? Is it you've got plenty of clients, but you need to offer better services, help them see the value of what you're doing, charge more for the services that you're providing so that you can, in essence, earn more money per client? Or is it the last one? You're plenty busy. In fact, you're too busy, and you actually need to find a way of actually streamlining and becoming more efficient so you can still charge the same amounts for the services you're providing, but do the work more quickly and therefore earn the same amount of money, but do it faster. Therefore, you're more profitable. So as I go through this exercise, I ask you that question. In your own business, where is the biggest opportunity that you're facing? Is it truly in the marketing? Do you just need more clients? Is the fact that you don't have enough clients the biggest stress that you're facing right now? Is it in reality you need to find better ways to market and sell your services? Is it in fact that you would like to be busier and really you just need the revenue, the money coming in? I'll worry about the nuances of the services later. I'll worry about the workflow. I just want to be busy. Well, if that's the case, then let's not worry about production. And obviously, we need to know the services that we're offering. So I don't want to negate that part of the discussion, but you definitely need to be selling. So with that principle in mind, here's what I want you to understand. Nothing happens until you make a sale. So keep that in mind. And that's going to be, I think, a very important part of that process. Now, the next thing is in the accounting world, what we want to do is we want to just become very, very clear as to the services that we're providing, but more importantly, understand what are the benefits that the client's receiving for the services that we offer. So if it's clear in your mind what you do, but it's not clear why you do it or how your clients are benefiting, we really do have a challenge ahead of us because we've got to understand what the importance of these works that you're doing are. In other words, you provide financial reports, you're giving the customer this information, but what does it matter if they don't know what it is or how to use it to make better informed business decisions within their own companies? So we've got to definitely look at, in the accounting sphere, the services that you're providing, do they make sense and can you articulate them to your clients in a way that they see what they're paying for? What are they really paying to get from you? As for production really just comes down to you're plenty busy, and we just want to look at what can we do to make your work more efficient. When you have staff in-house, is everybody doing the work similarly? If someone was to go on maternity leave or take a vacation or be out sick, does everyone else know what to do to help things move along? The biggest indicator there of whether or not your workflow is working well is, do you ever get calls from your customers asking, where are things? Where are we with this? Or where are we with that? Or is there anything more you need from me? Or what's holding us up? Or did you get the communication there is very telling of whether or not you have a good system in place to do the work for your clients. So with this M.A.P acronym, what I want to do is just pause here for a quick moment and mention that as part of the sponsors for our program today, Universal Accounting Center is offering a copy of the book In the Black, where this principle of MAP is addressed. And I encourage you to get a free copy of the book In the Black. It's 9 principles to make your business profitable, and MAP is a key element of this entire process. And as you read the book, you're going to find that there are things that you can use to not only apply these principles in your business, but more importantly, also then take to your clients as you're working with them as their trusted advisor, offering them the quality accounting services that you need to. So right now, I would like to just encourage you to get your own copy of the book In the Black and see what it is you can do to apply this principle of MAP in your own company. Now, with this, I want to just step back and say, well, how does this apply to you? Well, obviously, you can see already that this is meant to actually help you run a very important business, in fact, the premier accounting firm in your own area. And as you're running your accounting business, whether you're a solo entrepreneur or you're actually a firm with staff, these principles apply regardless, because I would definitely say they are universal. And I apologize for the pun, but I think it's very, very true. These principles are very much the small business principles you need to run a very effective business. So I'd like to actually now go into a step of applying MAP in your company, which is related to goals. And what it basically boils down to is in MAP, you need to really go through the process of, once you have all these proverbial hats out on the table and you've removed the stress and the anxieties of having them all on your head at once, you've got to figure out which hat to pick up and where are you going to work in your business. Now, I have to be very candid and say, you should be working in all 3 areas of your company. All 3 need your attention. All 3 need to be done. All 3 are key to your success. The question is what area of the business do you work on now? What is urgent? Is it getting more clients? Is it determining how to better explain your services and the value you provide so your clients are willing to pay you for what you offer, in fact, pay you more for what you provide so that you can increase the revenues per client? Or is it actually you're too busy and you need to find out how to do this more efficiently? I'm definitely not challenging the quality of your work, but I will challenge whether or not you're doing it quickly enough to be profitable at the services you're providing. So with those now that table out and all the hats on it, where do you start? Well, the first thing is goals. Is it in your business that you need more clients? Well, what's your goal there? Are you trying to get 1 more client, 5 more clients? Do you need 1 more client a month, 2 more clients a month? In accounting, is it you're offering bookkeeping services today, but you feel you really need to be offering some more accounting related services, or maybe you want to get into taxes, or perhaps you're offering tax services today and you would like to begin offering year-round bookkeeping services. You see the opportunity, you do a lot of tax returns for business owners. They're sole proprietors, their books are being done once a year as they bring them into you to just do the tax return. How much more information could you give them during the course of the year to help them more effectively run their business? And so you choose to then offer the bookkeeping services. All these are very valid questions to ask as to the services you're providing. Is it in production? Would it be better to really look at your onboarding process and make it a good experience for your clients as you onboard them? Something that isn't overwhelming or daunting, something that is not where you fail to excel for your clients. You give them this great impression of the services that you're providing, but it takes you 2 months to onboard the client, and it's frustrating getting their bank statements so that they actually are uploading. Passwords always become an issue. Missing accounts, I didn't know that one existed. It's just asking all the right questions in that onboarding process. Payroll questions, for example, is somebody a 1099 W-2? You don't need to be finding these things out month 6. You need to be finding these things out month 1. And then the last thing with regards to production is obviously as you're providing the work that you're doing to the client, is it useful to them? Do they find value in the services that you're providing? And that's going to then add to your retention. So what are the goals? And if you could just look out on this table and really see what hat should you focus in on now? What one should you put on? That one's going to be great. So you're going to now pull the hats, let's say, forward on the table and say, in marketing and sales, this is what I feel I need to do next. In accounting, this is what I feel I need to do next. I need to maybe get certified in a certain skill set. Maybe I need to offer more clearly a particular service. Maybe I need to go to all of my clients and tell them I do this. I don't think they know. In production, maybe I need to just come up with a workflow and a flow of not services, but of procedures so that I can be more efficient and just basically have a routine. Well, all those things being the case, you've now identified the hats. So these are the goals you have that you need to prioritize in your business. What are the action items then associated with that goal? You've pulled the hat forward, you've identified it as something you need to do, but what are the action items that are associated with now working on that area of your business? What needs to be done? And so this is going to bring me to, with your business, what are the goals? What are the action items? And how can you actually do these effectively in your company? So here's the next bit of advice. I would suggest with each of the action items that you identify that you determine then specific due dates. And the due dates need to be organized with the following in mind: short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. The short-term goals are really, if you're going to pick up the hat and put it on now, what are you going to do today with that? What do you need to accomplish this week with that? With this thing important, what are you going to see change within the next month? What's going to be different in the next year? And as you go through this process with your action items and assign tasks and give them due dates, you're going to be much more deliberate in the work that you're doing. You're going to be, when you wake up in the morning, invigorated because you have specific things that you're doing. You're not going to wake up and put on all of the hats. You're going to wake up and put on one hat, and you're going to focus on it for an hour or two or three. And in doing so, it's with purpose and intent. And that's one of the things that you want to be able to do. Because really, once you have the goals identified, and you've identified with those goals the specific action items that you need to now work on and do, and their associated dates, you've got, with these areas of your business, with M.A.P, marketing, accounting, and production, you just need to prioritize. Is the production the first thing I'm going to work on, and then I'm going to go to marketing, or vice versa? And once you get to that level, the last question that really remains is it you that has to do this? Can it be delegated? If you're in a situation where you have staff, obviously you can look at who in the organization can be delegated this. Maybe it involves some training that they shadow you for some time, but eventually it's something that they take the responsibility for. Or maybe as a sole entrepreneur, this is something that you actually delegate in the sense that, like you would have your clients outsource the accounting to you, obviously you have the ability to outsource some of these responsibilities to other people. And it's important to realize that that's also an option for you to actually take advantage of. It's okay to outsource some of the marketing processes that you have, or some of the accounting. There's a number of people that I know of that actually during the accounting season, let's say tax, they outsource their taxes to 1099 tax preparers, or they actually, as a CPA, will have 1099 relationships with bookkeeping professionals. These things are very plausible. It doesn't always have to land on your shoulders. So although you're identifying this hat as needing attention, you may not need to necessarily be the one wearing the darn hat. And that's the thing that I want to emphasize here, is really through this whole process of M.A.P, in the end, it may be that the hats you've been wearing, all of these hats, don't necessarily need to end up back on your head. And that's the beauty of this entire process. So let me again take a moment and just mention our sponsor, Universal Accounting Center, and the book In the Black. It's in this book that you'll be able to get a better understanding of these principles and come to realize how these can apply in your company so that you can, in fact, be more profitable. But more importantly, once you become very comfortable with these principles, you're able to then take them as a trusted advisor to the clients that you're working with and help them apply these principles in their companies as well. So get your copy of the book In the Black and make the most of it. Take the time to actually not just read the book, but apply these principles in your own company and see what you can do to map your own organization and prioritize what needs to be next in your business so that you can, in fact, have the premier accounting firm in your area. Now, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is time management. One of the things that's just a natural evolution of mapping the business and then prioritizing what needs to be done with goals and identifying those action items is then, okay, how do I fit all of this into the day? There are still only 24 hours in a day. And interestingly enough, I need to sleep and I've got so many other things on my plate other than just my business. I want to be a well-rounded person. So the first thing I want to do here is just identify that life balance is a misnomer. For years, I've heard people say that I need to get balance in my life. I'd like to balance my life in the sense that I feel like it's out of whack. Well, I think you're chasing your tail at this point with this concept of balance. What I think you need to do is you need to find peace in your life. And with peace, what I would suggest there is, as you're actually in the process of trying to prioritize all these things related to personal, family, let's say spiritual, also health, and then with business, it's not, I get 4 hours in each and I have 4 hours there. It's, what is the thing that I need to focus on now? In the Bible, and I don't mean to go very religious on you, but there's a principle in there that I think is very important, which is there's a time and a season for all things. When you're 20 years old and you're starting your family, I think there's a lot to be said for those sleepless nights as you're with a young one, that you need to give a lot of time and attention to your newborn child and to your spouse. And you're starting a family. That's where the attention needs to be. But you might be distracted by school and work. Well, it's probably later in your 20s and maybe perhaps into your 30s that you have a more stabilized family and you can really probably put a lot more effort into work and your career. Well, all these things are probably these ebbs and flows. There might be a time in your life where maybe your health is needing some attention, or maybe there's a family circumstance where family needs a lot of attention that they've maybe felt neglected, and now we need to put the attention there. Balance your life not in the sense of an equilibrium. It's not a scale that needs to be level. Balance your life based on the needs that are weighing on you. And when you get your business honed and humming, which it can be, by the way, then it will afford you the opportunity to then go focus on other areas such as your health or hobbies and so forth. So just understand that I think what I'm looking for in my own life isn't balance necessarily. I'm looking for peace. And I'm fortunate enough that I can definitely say that right now, that even with the stresses of life, I am at peace. And that's very important to me. So with that concept, let's go ahead and in that context of working towards peace, let's go ahead and look at time management. So I'm just going to share with you a few things that I found very effective in my life as I've applied time management principles in my own situation. Basically, what I've done is I've gone through and prioritized what things are important to me. And I've identified personal, I want to do things for myself. Honestly, I don't do much for myself. I don't need it. That's totally fine. But there are a few things that are important to me. I've got family. I've got spouse and children. I do have my health. What am I doing there? And then with regards to my community, I'm involved in my local congregation and church. And so that's important to me. And I dedicate some time there. And then with regards to work, that's pretty consuming. It's how I'm providing for my family. It's how I put a roof over my family's head. It's how I feed my children. It's how I afford the things I have. So I've got to work. So honestly, most of my week, if you will, most of my time is definitely at work. I see my colleagues a lot more than I do my family. I am with them rather than being alone. So a lot of it's going to be there. So now, having these categories, I've taken the time to sit down and actually reflect by what things are important in each area. What's important to me personally? Is it some books that I want to read? Is it maybe I want to go on a vacation somewhere, or maybe I need some alone time? Just what's your hobby? What's your interest? What do you need to do? What's self-fulfilling and rejuvenating for you? Is it sleep, for example? If that's the case, then you put it down. Just make a recording of what those priorities are. The next thing with spouse, what are some of the things important for your spouse? What are some of the things for your children? So let me just share with you a few that are important to me and how in time management, I then address them. So for me personally, I'm in a book club and I read basically at least one or two, perhaps 3 books a month. And this particular book club is for fun. And so we get together once a month. It's a Sunday evening. And with that book club, we actually spend about 2-3 hours that particular Sunday once a month, just talking about the book and things related to it. It's a phenomenal thing where I just get to connect with some very important friends of mine. The group of friends, fortunately for all of us, our spouses are very close. The spouses coincidentally do some things together. And so that following Monday, we actually get together with all of our families. And so the children get together, the spouses, we're all together that next Monday. And so Monday evening, once a month, we actually spend time together and we rotate amongst our group where we meet and what we do. And each month, one of the families is responsibility for a family activity for that gathering. And so that's how that's taken care of. So I've got that as a priority. With regards to me personally, I've got some of these other books that I read. I've got some other activities. Well, I've outlined those. For my spouse, just to give you an idea, I have a once a month date, if you will. It's a movie night. It's on a Tuesday. And what we do is we basically go on Tuesdays to a movie theater and see a movie together, and it's calendared. She's aware of it. We're looking forward to it. We discuss what movie we're going to go see. And it's not so much the movie itself, it's the fact that we've set aside time to be with one another. I also, on Friday evenings, set aside the Friday evening to go do something and enjoy our time together. For example, every month we have either a vacation or a staycation that we plan, and it's something we always look forward to. Each and every month we have at least one Friday that's deliberately planned. Oftentimes the other Fridays are kind of ad hoc, maybe we'll just go do some activity together. But this this Friday, as an example, I actually have a staycation with my wife where we're going to be going to a local hotel, doing some activities here locally, and it's just going to be fun. It's something that we do, and in the hotel world, it's referred to as a mattress run, if that's something that sounds familiar to you. But that's what I do. I'm calendaring out specific things on my calendar for her. And if something comes up, that's her Tuesday. That's her Friday, if you will. For my children, I have 3 children. One of my children is now married, so I have a son-in-law whom I love. And what I do is, because I have 3, it's conveniently a quarter. Once a quarter for years now. In January, I meet with my daughter on the third Thursday, and I go out and we have a daddy day, is what we call it. It's a date night with my daughter where I go out and just kind of catch up with her. She's very important to me, and it's one of those things that I don't want to lose. I've been doing this with her since she was a young teenager. I started this when she was a young teenager, so I've been doing this for years, and I do this quarterly. So January is her month, and then I'm going to 3 months later do it again with her, and 3 months after that do it with her again. In February, it's my son, and in February, on the third Thursday, I do an activity with my son. When they were younger, the children always were excited about it. It was an activity that was more involved with, I take them bowling, go to a movie, just some activity that the kids would look forward to. Now that I'm older, it's honestly more time actually not doing necessarily an activity, but talking and catching up and talking about what's important to them and staying connected. And then the third month in March is my daughter, Sydney. And third Thursday, I'm going to be getting together with her. Sometimes things come up, but that block time is important to me, that it's set aside. Now, with regards to health, I exercise in the morning. That time's blocked out. When it comes to my work, though, I want to get to the work part of this. There are certain things related to M.A.P that I need to incorporate. There are things related to marketing and sales that need to occur on a daily and or weekly basis, and I calendar them into the schedule. Every Monday at 9 a.m., I do something. Every day, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m., I do something. All of these things are calendared in. And I say this because as you're working with your clients, there needs to be scheduled time that you dedicate that is, this day is theirs, this time is theirs. To have this organized, it allows you in a calendar to set up recurring events that now all of a sudden, those things that are important to you are prioritized and calendared. Now, tasks come up. Things that need to be done appear, fires occur, and things happen in such a way that I do need to fill my calendar. And I obviously have open slots available that I regularly fill, and these things get put in. Now, I put them in chunks based on how long I believe it's going to take to actually accomplish something. When I go to a conference and I learn something new, I literally come back and plug in, okay, time assigned to implement these various things. Well, when it happens that the thing takes longer or something comes up that doesn't allow me to actually address what I've calendared, I then I literally take that event and I move it to the next available time slot. Well, here's the peace of mind that comes to me. Once I know it's on my calendar, I personally don't feel I need to worry about it anymore. I know it's captured. So when I wake up in the middle of the night with a thought or an idea, it will stew in my mind until I get it on my calendar. I capture it as a task that I need to do. And once it's captured, once I know that it's on my calendar as a specific time slot for a duration that I believe it's going to take to achieve it, with notes of what am I going to do then, all of a sudden I get to have this peaceful feeling of it's addressed, it's fine. When I do things with my family, they actually are annoyed by this because I'm good at it. Well, when I have a movie night, I'll put in what movie I want to go see, let's say, and I'll have my wife attached to the calendar event and she'll get a notification. And my kids, my friends, they're all kind of annoyed because I'm always sending them notifications and updates as to what's going on a specific day or a specific event. But it's that organization that gives me the peace that I'm looking for, because no longer do I feel pressured to keep all this stuff in my mind. I'm able to now put it somewhere that I know that it's kept and it's there. And as I have a new idea associated with it, I go find in the calendar that event, that date, that task, and I add in the notes what it is I need to know about that, and I'm able to then take care of it. All of this is meant to help you better manage your time and really have some peace of mind, because as priorities come up, you're able to literally say, I've got time set aside for this, it's on my calendar, and we're good to go. One last piece of advice that I think may be appropriate here is the fact that with regards to time management, things are going to come up. Challenges are going to be faced. Give you an example. That book club group that I mentioned, one of the things that we like to do as couples is it's about every 2 or 3 months, we've got annual passes to a local theater here, and we go to a theater and see a play. And so it's about every 8 to 12 weeks they do another play. And so in that 8 to 12 weeks, we've got a show to go see. Well, when we order our season tickets, we have to pick the dates that we're going to go to each of the shows. Well, it just so happens to be that next week is a show that's coming up, and I have double booked. I've got a client thing that I need to do for work, and I reached out to my group to say, hey, would you guys mind if we try and move that date? And all the group is very accommodating, and fortunately for us, we're able to try and move that date. So conflicts do come up. There will be decisions that you'll have to make, but I think it's a lot easier to then say, I'm sorry, I'm already booked that date. Can we do it another time? Or if really the pressure comes of it has to be done then, and what's already there is perhaps lesser important or not so key to that specific day, then it's easier to then move things around and maybe work later one day, or move this to a Saturday and work a Saturday a month on something. These things are possible if you choose to manage your time, and it will bring you peace. I really hope that this has been beneficial, because that's one of the things that I think has really made a difference for me, both personally and professionally. So let me kind of recap, but before I do the recap, let me just kind of share with you again the whole content of what we're looking at here. First and foremost, it's mapping your business, really identifying within your own company what of your business needs the attention. How can you take that weighted stack of priorities and responsibilities that you're wearing with these proverbial hats, take them off your head, organize them, and really see what it is that needs to be done next. The other part of this was setting goals and obviously prioritizing those tasks, and more importantly, getting to the point where after prioritizing, you can delegate them. And then lastly, it's recognizing that rather than chasing this proverbial balance, let's look for peace. And with peace, time management is an excellent tool that can be used to find peace, knowing that it is captured, it's scheduled, it's there. I don't have to stress, I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to think about it. It's recorded somewhere, and when the time comes, I can take care of it. Obviously, each night you're probably looking at the next day to get ready for it mentally. Each Sunday, perhaps being the first day of the week, you're spending time looking at what you can do to prepare for the coming week as you see it scheduled out, but you're organized. That's what matters most. So with all that in mind, just understand this. This is meant to help you work on your business, not in your business, and build the premier accounting firm. With that, I encourage you to listen to our other episodes. I encourage you to subscribe to this podcast and make the most of it. For more information about Universal Accounting Center and how you can apply these principles in your business, I invite you to visit us at universalaccountingschool.com or give us a phone call. You can actually reach us at 801-265-3300. 3777. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day.